Story 1 by Reddit user King Akatosh. I was 10 years old. My brother and I were the last ones off the bus from school every day. We were nearing my house, which is in the Midwest countryside. Lots of cows and trees and fields, etc. Anyways, about a mile away from my house, I look out the window and saw an orange blimp in the sky. Standard American football-shaped blimp. Surprisingly, I didn't think anything of it. Because, a day or so beforehand, me and a bunch of kids at recess saw a blue blimp in the sky. I watched it. Thought it was cool to see a blimp this far outside of town, especially near my house. After a few seconds, the blimp shifted from a football shape to a star, literally shrunk before my eyes into a tiny, shiny dot that resembled a star in the night sky. Except it wasn't a star. It was just a blimp a second ago. Not even 2 seconds after it shifted, it launched even further into the sky, shot down to its original height, and then shot completely off into space. It was the most bizarre thing I had ever experienced. I was a quiet kid, but being the last kid on the bus besides my brother, I shouted about it. And when I got off the bus, I ran to my mother to tell her, like a crazy old man yelling the end times. My mother said I was crazy, naturally, and I never told my dad because Mum shut me down pretty hard and it killed my mood. Fast forward years later, shortly after I turned 22, my dad and I took a short road trip to go pick up a car he bought halfway across the state. We talked about a lot and somehow got onto the topic of UFOs. He told me when he was 12 or 13, him and his brothers were playing down by a creek near their house. Which, by the way, his old house was only a few miles away from our house. And they saw an orange football-shaped object in the sky. I was absolutely blown away when he said that. My father is skeptical and doesn't believe in this kind of stuff. Ever. But when I shared my story, he paused and admitted it was very, very odd to have seen the exact same thing, more than 30 years apart. Story 2 by Reddit user Seep Madlock. Back again. I know I promised more stories from my time in this small town, so I figured I'd better deliver. This one happened to me when I was young, like elementary school age. Pretty sure 4th or 5th grade. As I had mentioned in my previous post, there is absolutely nothing to do in this little town. At least there wasn't when I lived there. So, more often than not, this led to kids being mischievous. This night was no exception. I waited until my grandparents fell asleep and then I snuck out. Yes, at 4th or 5th grade, and met my friend up the street. We really had no plans, like, what the fuck was a couple of kids going to be doing out at night anyway? Wasn't the safest idea looking back. Anyway, I met up with my friend on his bike and we just rode around together and teased each other and did typical 4th or 5th grader stuff. Now at the time my friend only lived a few blocks away from me, maybe 2 to 3 blocks in total. Wasn't too far, and I probably would have been too sketched to go any further at that age, honestly. So we were just riding up and down the street between his house and mine, and we both suddenly got a horrible feeling. I say both, because he had to have felt what I felt at the same time as we simultaneously stopped riding our bikes and just stared at each other for a second. I still really can't wrap my head around what happened next, but I have a few guesses. As we stood there with this horrible feeling in the air, it was almost as if the air suddenly had an electrical current through it. That's the best way I can explain it. All the hair on my body stood up, and there was this sort of tingling feeling, I guess you could say, followed by a deep, deep primal sense of fear. As soon as this primal fear hit, me and my friend for some reason looked into the sky. Now again, small town, not a lot of industrial lights. You can see the stars pretty clearly, especially on a night like this. What we saw, and the best way I can explain it, is this blackened out rectangle shape, extending for maybe a block and a half over us. It was a silhouette in the sky, and you couldn't see the stars through this thing. There was a perfect outline around it, and it definitely was a solid object. At this point, we realized it was hovering over us. I'd say maybe a couple of 100 feet in the air overhead, and it was projecting a shadow on us. Now, I've experienced some scary stuff in my life, but I still don't ever remember feeling this primal of fear. Sheer terror. My friend and I looked at each other and screamed, and I booked it out of there riding my bike as fast as my little legs could go. The weird thing is, I was only a block or two from my grandparents' house. It felt like it took an eternity to finally get back there despite me pedaling as fast as I could. Now, as an adult, 20+ years later, I guess you could chalk it up to maybe some sort of experimental craft that maybe we weren't supposed to see. I don't know. I can still feel that primal fear even thinking about this situation, and I still can't figure out what exactly happened that night. Sorry if this was long and choppy. Tried to be as detailed as I could with this memory considering it happened so long ago. Story 3 by Reddit user next_welcome_6516. I'll start by saying I've seen my fair share of strange things in the skies, but one memory will always stand out amongst the others. I've done the math, and it was the fall of 2005. I was in 6th grade, outside on the phone with my first boyfriend. I'd say it was between 6 to 8 Eastern Time. It was dark outside, and only our back porch light was on. I was talking up a storm as I watched my 2 dogs roam the backyard. Out of nowhere, it's like someone turned on a blue light above us, the dogs and I. It was a bright, beautiful electric blue. I immediately looked up and saw what I could best describe as the shape of an eye, but perfectly symmetrical, in the same blue color. It was lined with an almost holographic-looking light, a constant changing rainbow of colors. I stared for maybe 2 seconds before it closed up, leaving only the colorful outline. It immediately shot to the left like a shooting star and disappeared. In shock, I told my boyfriend I would call him back and immediately ran to my parents who were folding clothes in the bedroom. I shouted at them, "I just saw aliens." They laughed at first and told me to stop joking, but my father knows my eyes. He saw my panic and quickly changed the subject. I've never forgotten this moment. I can still see it so clearly even to this day. What did I see? Why did I see it? Can anyone help? Story 4 by Reddit user BubblegumDiamond1. This Sunday, just gone, my girlfriend, 24-year-old female, and I, 26-year-old female, live in Adelaide, Australia, and had just went on a dinner date. We went to hers to drop off her doggy bag, then drove back towards my house, southwards. About halfway between our houses, I noticed 3 lights in the sky in a perfect triangle. It was very odd, and the lights were fairly obvious in the dark sky, especially because there were also stars visible. So the lights were very visibly different. They were a lot brighter and bigger, though not by much. I pointed it out to her, and immediately she said, "Holy crap, what the hell is that?" At first, I thought I might be seeing things, but when she reacted, I knew it wasn't my eyes playing tricks. We quickly noticed that the lights were moving at about the same speed we were, and had started flashing green and red lights sporadically. We decided to follow it for as long as we feasibly could. It was a bit of a thrill, if I'm being completely honest, following the mystery lights in the sky, but it also didn't last very long. Maybe 5 minutes past my house, the lights took a turn, sped up, and just disappeared. We pulled over to see if we could find it again, though we didn't have any luck. We keep talking about it and how cool and strange it was. I'm posting here to see if anyone else has seen something like this, Or has any ideas what it could have been besides a UFO? Our first thought was a helicopter, but there's no realistic way for a perfect triangle of lights to come off like that. If anyone has any ideas, I'd love to hear them. Thank you for watching and/or listening to this video. Again, if you enjoyed it, please go ahead and hit the like button. And if you don't already, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and select the notification bell so don't miss out on any of my future uploads. Also, please leave a comment on this video letting me know what you thought of it. Comments really help with the YouTube algorithm and will really help my channel to grow. If you have a story you would like me to narrate, please email it to me at stories@daredeveril.com. I'm getting close to my next major milestone of 100,000 subscribers to this channel. Thank you to everyone who is continuing to subscribe to this channel and contributing to its growth by liking videos and leaving comments. Once I get to 100,000 subscribers, my plan is to reward you all with an epic video with over 3 hours of original content. It will probably be about Wendigos, as you all seem to love these stories. If that is the sort of thing you want to hear, please keep helping this channel to grow. If you want to support my channel even further, there are a number of ways you can do so. You can buy me a coffee on my Ko-fi account, which I recently set up. It's still in the early stages of being set up, but I plan to release some exclusive content on there in the future. Check out my Teespring store and consider purchasing one of my shirt designs. I have a design with a dogman, a Wendigo, skinwalker and Bigfoot all on a zebra crossing. It's a must for anyone that likes these types of stories. You can also head over to Audible, where there is the book Punch by J.R. Park that I narrated. I get a small royalty if you decide to purchase it. Thanks again for watching.